Hello, this is Malcolm McDowell. In a world built on stories where heroes rise, villains fall, and meaning hides between the frames, one podcast has dared to explore it all. From galaxies far away to quiet corners of small-town coffee houses, they've sought the truth hidden in pop culture's pulse. The laughter, the light, and the lessons buried beneath the spectacle. This is Pop Culture Pastor.
Pop Culture Pastor.
All right, Cody. On the way over here, I stopped at a gas station, and they were playing Billy Ocean's Caribbean Queen.
As they should.
And I think that was a good sign. I think this is going to be a good show.
Our best show.
Maybe the best ever.
Episode 201, we hit our stride.
And our hearts will beat as one. No more Son on the Run.
Yeah. Something like that.
That was a William Ocean joke.
He had a couple hits.
Episode 201 doesn't feel as cool as episode 200. But
Just
here we
know
are.
I lost on Jeopardy.
You lost on Jeopardy.
That's a completely different song, but I do like Weird Al, so I'll mention it.
That has nothing to do with Billy Ocean.
I know.
Okay.
But anytime we go to the 80s, I just go down rabbit holes of music that was on a compilation CD.
Oh, all right. Well, if you start talking about Steve Winwood, we'll know what happened.
Yeah.
All right. We start off, Cody. This is just a regular old episode. We're back to a Be Kind Rewind, but I figured I'd start with a news story because I found a news story that I thought was interesting.
Okay.
And we're both married, so it doesn't maybe concern us as much as it would have.
I'm concerned.
Cody is very concerned.
I don't even know what about.
According to a recent Fox local news report, but they were going off of some study.
Oh.
Women, and I don't have the study in front of me because I didn't do, look, I did not bust my hump trying to do my research and find this study.
Episode 201 is off to a rocky start.
You get what you pay for. That's what my grandma always used to say. Women ranked the least attractive hobbies for men.
Okay.
And friends, it's not looking good for nerds.
What?
Yeah. Here's the list. This is straight from the report. Okay, you ready? Number 1, playing video games. So, Cody,
that's least attractive?
How does it feel to officially be a part of the world's least attractive demographic? Can you let us know?
That must be on a case by case.
I gotta admit, when I first saw this story, I was a little angry because can you imagine a list if they did it the other way around?
And also there is a growing faction of female gamers.
Yeah.
Like it's not in the outliers category. Now it's more of a norm.
Take it from two guys who kind of live in nerddom.
Yes.
We do this podcast. We go to Comic Cons. We live inside the nerddom community. There's plenty of girls that like video games and a lot of these things we're going to talk about. But this was just number 1. And I was just angry off the top because I was just like, I can't even imagine if they did a study where dudes said what they didn't like about women. Everybody would go nuts. So why is this okay? Why is it okay to make these poor guys who play video games to feel awful? Number 2, collecting figurines.
Well, that involves both of us, buddy.
Do you think when they say collecting figurines, do you think they mean action figures or like McDonald's Happy Meal toys from the 90s? Because
they're including Funkos on this.
And Funkos, because that's a lot of different vibes there.
Oh, yeah.
But see, I'm the kind of person that wants to do some additional questions. I need all these ladies who took this survey in a room. So I'm gonna be like, okay, what are we talking about? When you say figurines, what are we talking about? And then we could show them my Funko collection and be like, is this just major turnoff? Is this just well, too bad because I'm already married. Doesn't matter. Joke's on you. I'm taking, ladies.
Your loss.
Number 3, crypto. As in,
What?
crypto guys that trade crypto talk about crypto.
Okay, so if you're a crypto bro, I can see it.
No, define for everybody what a crypto bro is. Is that like a Wall Street bro?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
someone that like obsesses and only talks about crypto. That would get annoying. Now, making bank off crypto, if you're that kind of person, I don't have beef with it.
Yeah.
Like, if my wife would invest in crypto and make us rich, sure, I can be a stay-at-home trophy husband.
Yeah. Okay, but the big difference, you just switched the things. And I made a joke about it earlier about what guys would find unattractive. Let's be real honest. Guys and gals, very different. Because if a guy's attracted to a girl, it doesn't matter what her hobbies are. He doesn't care.
Most of the time.
Number 4, online trolling. Now we're to like the first one that's
Okay,
legitimate.
that's valid.
Yeah. Although, how do you find out your guy is online trolling?
I mean, if you have a very open relationship and they're like, yeah, this is my handle on X.
You think he just brags about it? Oh, I'm about to set these people off.
Yeah.
I'm about to say something really bigoted on X.
About to tick off all the Buffalo Bills fans at once.
Well, so Cody, I feel like you've got a little online troll in you.
I have. So I want consistency amongst certain demographics of people. And if you're not consistent, then I want to call you out. And then that becomes borderline trolling. So yes.
I think it's more when the contrarian Cody persona comes out.
Yes.
He just gets on there and he reminds them. Number 5, gambling.
Some of my friends in the NBA currently struggling with this. It's not a good look.
Huge story in the NBA going on right now where people who were coaches, former players.
My friend Chauncey, not doing well.
Yeah. I love how shocked we all are, too.
I'm not.
As if we didn't say that this was what was going to happen when they started legalizing sports betting.
Although, like, the thing that Chauncey's accused of, that one's just bananas.
You talking about the poker game?
Poker game with the glasses that can see through the cards?
Yeah, that's amazing. Was Matt Damon there? Is this from Rounders? The sequel to Rounders. Number 6, things that are least attractive to women, according to women. Number 6, building model trains.
That's number 6?
I know. Why was that even on the list? Like, is that a problem? Do a lot of dudes build model trains?
Now, I can see if you think that that's like the ultimate sign of geekdom, but then that should be number 1. The things that we had listed before, I think should go above and not be considered worse than model train building.
Yeah, you're about to get really mad because, the list keeps getting worse. We're about to get to one where I feel like it deserves to be above all those other things. And number 7 is taxidermy. Taxidermy, Cody. How does taxidermy rank lower than playing video games?
Like, have you ever smelled taxidermy in action?
Number 8, comic book collect. That's it. Let me at him. Comic book collecting, Cody.
This is where I would want more questions. Like, if I buy a comic book a month versus spending half my paycheck on comic books.
Well, okay,
Like,
right.
I need to know the degree of comic book collecting.
But then it's not the specific thing you're collecting. If you're just blowing a lot of money on something and that's the problem, then it's not really whatever it is you're collecting.
Yes.
It's just that you're too frivolous with your money.
Like, if I'm buying one graphic novel for $10 each month, I don't need sass.
Number 9, bird watching.
Are there many bird watchers left?
I don't know.
I thought we agreed birds weren't real.
I don't know many dudes that be bird watching under the age of 60. So basically, if you're not hiking or starting a small business, I guess you're single. I don't know. You have to love that playing video games and collecting figurines two of the most common community building hobbies on Earth, are ranked right next to crypto bros and online trolls.
Glad to see Legos did not make the list.
Our friend Kane is thankful for that. Like, imagine, Cody, you're a regular dude. You're painting Warhammer minis, and you're being lumped in with a guy yelling, "You got ratioed on X." You know, like, what did that guy do? He's not bothering anybody.
And also, my friend Henry Cavill, he paints the Warhammer figurines.
Yeah, Henry's cool.
Yep.
Women adore him. But if your living room shelf has a Funko on it, apparently you're the same as being one bad investment away from Dogecoin and a parrot. I just don't know. And how is taxidermy not number one? You can't tell me someone who spends 40 hours hand painting their D&D character is just as bad as a dude who has a stuffed raccoon that he calls Mr. Whiskers.
If you are a taxidermist, we are not attacking you.
We apologize to all the taxidermists listening. How many? Oh man, I'm about to regret asking this question. But how many taxidermists do we have listening? Give us a shout out.
So I will say, for the viewers and listeners at home, when I was a teacher's aide my senior year in high school, I was the teacher's aide for the teacher that had the taxidermy class and the wildlife conservation class.
There was a taxidermy class.
You bet your sweet buttons there was.
Oh man, nope, no thank you.
It was a pretty chill class, but he also was the head of the FCA, and I was the FCA prayer chaplain at the time. So I was like, oh, I'll work for him.
Why do you think nerd culture, the video games, the collectibles, the comics, why do you think it still gets tagged as unattractive when it's so mainstream now? Like, it's more mainstream than ever.
I think within certain environments, it's still lamestream, as the kids would say.
No, you're lame!
But because, like, even within pop culture, you're not seeing it translate on the big screen like the cast of One Tree Hill or whatever the youths are watching, Euphoria.
I'm like, wait, what? One Tree Hill?
Yes.
We're old, apparently. Even Cody's making outdated references. Is Euphoria, is that the thing the kids watch? My oldest daughter watches The Summer I Turned Pretty. But yeah, I don't even know what it's about. Apparently it's about the summer I turned pretty.
You can buy the book at your local bookstore.
I'm going to pass. If you had to defend one of these hobbies on the list in a courtroom, which one would you pick?
Video games.
Okay, why? Well, defend it.
Okay.
With your courtroom vibe here.
So, in moderation, video games can be relaxing. It could be a way to connect with friends, even friends that are not nearby. You can play virtually online with them. And also, it can be a hobby you do with your loved ones who are in person with you.
Yeah, I agree. And comic books, too. People used to make fun of me for my comic book collecting. When I was a kid, I'm older, so it was even less popular when I was a kid growing up back in the 80s. And honestly, comic books, a lot of the things we recognize as high literature, listen, people at KU were reading Watchmen, the graphic novel of Watchmen.
Alan Moore, dude's a little heavy.
There's some real deep stuff in comic books. Comic book writing is not just hacks. It's not all cliche. Anyways, I would defend video games and comic books. But last question, Cody. What's your unattractive hobby that you're never giving up, no matter what any list would say? What's like the most unattractive hobby you have?
It's video games, according to this list.
Video games not in moderation.
I can go in spurts where like I can go without forever. There's spurts where I'm like, all I want to do is game. And then there's spurts where I'm like, a couple hours each week, I'm good.
Yeah, I've taken to going home and eating lunch, going home from work and having my lunch while playing a video game. I'm not sure my wife's super thrilled about it.
Danielle, think big picture.
But it's relaxing to me, unless I lose because of someone else's, like someone on my team. And if someone on my team messes up, then I'm like, you idiot. And it's not very relaxing at all. No. Although, if I'm being honest, that's probably not my most unattractive hobby. It's probably my Funko collection.
It is either overwhelming in a good way or a bad way. There's no in between.
All right, that's enough of that. Let's go to the studio, the other studio.
We have another one?
No, that's the studio. Let's just take a break. Well, when we come back, we'll talk about our Be Kind Rewind, The Mist. All right, Cody. You ever think about how terrifying grocery stores actually are?
Yes.
Fluorescent lights.
I was going to say the lighting's always eerie.
Muzak versions of Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Yeah. It also is the most frustrating place.
Yeah, now imagine that frustration. But outside the windows is a glowing fog full of Cthulhu-type monsters.
Prehistoric beast.
That's The Mist, or as I like to call it, Black Friday with better creature designs.
Ayo.
Oh! Frank Darabont directs this thing like he's trying to prove...
And writes it.
Yes, yeah. And yeah.
He adapts it for
He
the
adapts
screen.
it. He's trying to prove that hope is overrated. It's 2 hours. Like, dude, when I tell you this is bleak, this is bleak, man. It's 2 hours of people trapped in a supermarket learning that humanity's real superpower is losing its mind in record time.
You betcha.
Giant bugs, tentacle demons, and at least one woman who turns a can of peaches into a religious weapon.
I did enjoy that.
when that old lady throws that can, I think it's peaches at the
It's either peaches or peas.
Yeah, at the religious lady. Oh my goodness. That was the greatest thing ever. And yet, there's something about this movie and this story that is weirdly deep, weirdly beautiful. It's not just about monsters. It's about fear, faith, what happens when you run out of both. And so, yeah, we're going to take a look at this movie called The Mist. Came out in 2007. Written, adapted from a Stephen King story by Frank Darabont, and he also directed it. It gets a 74% on Rotten Tomatoes. And here is the blurb, all right? After a powerful storm damages their main home, David Drayton, played by Thomas Jane, and his young son head into town to gather food and supplies. Soon afterward, a thick fog rolls in and engulfs the town, trapping the Draytons and others in a grocery store. Terror mounts as deadly creatures reveal themselves outside, but that may be nothing compared to the threat within, where a zealot, played by Marcia Gay Harden, calls for a sacrifice. November 21st, 2007. It's rated R. Story by Stephen King originally.
From a 1980 novella.
Yes, made $57 million at the box office, which isn't a whole lot until you realize it only cost $18 million to make.
Well, when you're in a supermarket for most of it, it really helps.
Yeah. So, right. We've got a pretty good cast, but we'll get to that. Just wanted to give you the lowdown. So we're rewinding to 2007, a time when horror was in an interesting place. The Saw franchise was dominating in theaters.
Yep.
Paranormal Activity was about to kind of launch the found footage era. Because, like, the Blair Witch Project was just, like, the trailblazer. I wouldn't say it really launched until Paranormal Activity. Zombies were hot again, thanks to 28 Days Later and Shaun of the Dead. And then Frank Darabont, the guy who directed Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, walks in and says, I'm going to make a horror movie that's not really about monsters. It's about people.
Who are the real monsters?
This is The Mist. So, yeah, just like the blurb says, you start off with this family. It's in Maine, of course, because it's a Stephen King story.
Everything happens in Maine.
And this guy, they're trying to... The storm was a particularly bad storm for Maine, I'm assuming. You got down trees, so they go to the store, and everybody's like rushing it because they're trying to get stuff because the power's out.
All the refrigerated items were going to go bad.
I would say they were overreacting, but then I lived through COVID and the toilet paper run. So people be doing this sometimes. So they're all in this grocery store when it all just kind of all just goes to pot. The sirens start going off. A mist rolls in. A thick fog rolls into town. And they start hearing screaming. The guy who's all bloody says, "I just barely got away." And it's obvious there are creatures outside. And then it starts this kind of tense, almost like human study of what humans do under pressure. And as they lose hope. And so that's what happens in the movie. As that all progresses, it just gradually gets bleaker and bleaker and bleaker until finally there is an attempt by some of them to get away. There's a lot of death and tense situations in between, but I'm sure we'll talk about that. And a cult is kind of started inside the grocery store,
as it happens on the reg.
Thanks to the religious lady. We'll get to that as well. We'll talk a lot about that. And the group of them gets away. It ends in the bleakest of bleak ways.
And also voted one of the best endings, especially twist endings in cinematic history.
It's bold.
It's a
bold.
choice.
We'll talk about it when we get there.
Because evidently that's not the choice in the book.
No.
I had to do some deep diving and also ask my wife.
Yeah. So The Mist started as a story in a Stephen King novella. It was one of his collections. First published in 1980 in a collection called Skeleton Crew. And King's story, the way he wrote it, was all about isolation, paranoia, and faith unraveling in the fog. And Darabont had wanted to adapt it apparently since the late 80s. The Mist is more psychological horror than a monster movie. So there are monsters that are present. You see them, but it's not really what the movie's about. The real terror is what fear does to people when the lights go out and the fog rolls in. Fun fact, Darabont had already adapted Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, both Stephen King stories, both about hope. So I guess when he took on The Mist, it was kind of like watching a hopeful director explore what happens when hope dies.
Nailed it.
Because as Cody says, the film's ending is one of the boldest gut punches in modern cinema. A masterclass in what if faith runs out 1 minute too soon. So essentially what you find at the end of this movie is the dad who you've been following and his son who you've been following and the three people that get out with them.
Random grocery store lady that could become his future wife. And
weirdest part of the whole movie, if I'm not lying.
2 elderly people.
Yeah, that whole thing was weird when they find that his wife is all webbed up and he cries and she's like, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "You liar. You've been making googly eyes at him all movie."
So I told you I had this movie ingrained in my head, but I rewatched it today and for some reason in my head, I had Thomas Jane and the grocery store lady as married. And I'm like, no, that can't be right. And then I watched it and I'm like, oh yeah, they just are very flirtatious at times.
Yeah. So if you don't want me to ruin perhaps one of the greatest gut punches in cinematic history to end a movie, then I'm going to give you about 2 seconds to turn this off and go watch it.
Please.
Okay, you're still here. So here's what happens. They get away from the grocery store that pretty much the whole movie takes place in. And they drive as far as they can in the mist until they run out of gas. And it's at this point where they're all like, well, I guess that's it. We're all going to die. His son is sleeping in the arms of his new beau. And he starts counting. He counts how many bullets they have left in this gun. They had acquired this gun at some point in the movie, and they've got 4 bullets. And he looks at his 3 adult companions in the car and his son, and he says, "I'll figure myself out." And you're like, no, he's not going to. Come on, that's not going to happen.
He's the Punisher, Dave.
And then it happened. Like, seriously, it took me. I was shocked. Just a boo, 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 boo. And you're like, what did he just do? He killed his son?
Yep.
He killed his son, Cody. How do you even do that? Well, he gets out of the car after obvious, this is the best part of Thomas Jane in the movie, by the way, because I'm not sure his acting holds up.
Because he goes back and forth between normal Thomas Jane and Punisher Thomas Jane. Yeah. Because he gets growly.
It'll come up later, but he's exactly right. It's weird. It's all over the place. But this last scene's actually pretty good for him. And he's just yelling in pain after killing his son but not having a bullet for himself. And so naturally he gets out of the car and you think he's just, I'm just going to give myself to the monsters. And then the military rolls in and they seem to have everything under control. And the look of realization coming across his face that they were literally 1 minute away from rescue.
Yep.
And he just killed 3 people and his son. And that's the way the movie ends.
So I kind of wish that my mom could have been on this episode because this was one of the movies I made her watch.
Your poor mom.
She was so angry at me after sobbing at the very end of the movie.
So my oldest daughter watched it with me and she had much the same reaction. She was very angry at the end, which look, I didn't tell her this, but any movie that provokes that reaction with the ending, it's not nothing. Okay.
It's something.
The studio, for what it's worth, hated Frank Darabont's ending. In fact, they begged him to change it. He said no, even though they offered him double the budget if he would rewrite it with a happy ending. So that final gut punch was completely his invention. The Stephen King story ends ambiguously with the survivors driving off into the fog, and you don't know what happens to them. And that's a very Stephen King thing.
Yeah, let the reader weigh it out.
Right. And so you don't know. That was Darabont's creation. And the result is it left audiences traumatized. People were angry, Cody. Some people even walked out. And Stephen King, do you know what he said about this ending?
What did my friend Stevie say? Because he has opinions about his books being made into movies.
He said Frank Darabont's ending is so good, I wish I'd thought of it.
Yeah! So, in previous pods, I'm sure the listeners have heard Jackson and I talk about this movie.
Yeah, they've been begging me to watch this movie.
And about the ending to this movie being amazing. Not in that it's a great, happy, uplifting ending. It just is, it will make you feel you will want to rage quit the movie or you will be sobbing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no 2 ways about this movie. You either love this movie or you hate it. Mm-hmm. There's no in between. Let's talk about the context that this movie comes out in. The movie drops November 2007. That's late Bush era America. G.W. Bush.
Dubs.
The Iraq War is still raging. People were losing trust in institutions. The fog of misinformation and fear is starting to thicken in politics and media and religion. You have to understand the Desert Storm and then the Iraq conflict, 9/11, leading to the Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts, is really the dawn of what we would call fake news. Mm-hmm. This is the time when all those news cable networks start really thriving. And for the first time, you don't have news that's just reporting news. I'm not even saying they're bad for it. I'm saying when you have news channels, they have a following. And in order to keep them watching, they have to report things in a slant that the following likes.
Yep.
So this is really when all of that starts to get traction. And so it's very interesting to me that this is the sort of movie that comes out in that time. It's in a way, it's not a monster movie. It's like a cultural Rorschach test. Yeah,
That's a good way to put it.
yeah. You know what a Rorschach test is, where you just see the blob of stuff, and you, what do you see? Oh, I see a rabbit.
Think about Watchmen, the guy's face that changes.
Yeah, and so the mist could represent anything. I was trying to. The whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm trying to figure out what's the meaning of this. But the mist could represent fear. It could represent ideology, panic, tribalism. But that's all seem things like what we're dealing with now, right?
Well, somewhat back then. And there's one relationship that I think, like, we would obviously point to now, but it was definitely happening back then, that, like, there is, like, this unspoken conflict. Now it's very spoken and outward, but, like, in the aughts, no one was really publicly addressing it, but it was still there.
Yeah. So audiences went into this movie, they went in expecting a creature feature, basically. I mean, that's what it's kind of marketed it as. And they get a morality play.
UL7 weenies.
They get a morality play about what happens when people get scared.
Or spend too much time in a grocery store.
So where does this movie hit you when you first see it? Well, give us context of you.
Okay, so I'm in my freshman year of college, but I'm still here in this community. And so, like, I have friends that are also going to the community college with me. And also I have friends that are like seniors in high school. And so, like, this was like kind of a weird coming of age movie. Like, there was deep discussions, and there was like, why are we even thinking about this? Discussions, especially involving the end.
Yes.
Because what you think teenage guys would talk about with the end of the movie, we definitely talked about.
It's I don't think it would be abnormal to say my first impressions as I'm watching it are I laughed. I'm just like, oh, come on. And then I got angry. I'm just like, this is stupid. And then I started to think about it, because you can't not think about it. And then it's like it slaps you in the face. Once you start thinking about what this represents, what the ending itself represents, it just slaps you across the face, because it's so easy to figure out what is being said here. And it is about hope.
Yeah.
It seriously is. Frank Darabont has it, so it makes sense. He's done Shawshank Redemption, which was about hope, not losing hope. Green Mile, which is same kind of deal, don't lose hope, but with a little bit of faith mixed in. And then you get this movie, which appears to be completely different, but it shows you what happens when you run out of hope. So the message is, don't lose hope.
Yes.
Keep going. So it makes sense when you think about it in that context. Here's some cool things you may not have known. Some trivia about the movie. Darabont had been offered a chance to direct the Chronicles of Narnia for way more money, and he turned it down to make this bleak, low-budget, he made it as a black and white horror film about faith and despair. He literally said he didn't want to make a movie where the lion wins.
Nice.
So yeah, bleak. After doing prestige work like The Green Mile, Darabont could have had anything he wanted. He could have had a blockbuster budget for this movie. Instead, he told the studio, give me $18 million and just let me do it my way. Just get out of the way. Now, they wouldn't do that because his version was black and white. And I'm going to bring this up later, but I feel like if they would have left it at that, it would have been... It changes the tone and the mood of the movie. I know that sounds weird, but I think part of my problem is it doesn't feel right. The movie doesn't feel right at times. So the movie is shot with a handheld camera and on the cheap, and Darabont uses the same crew from a gritty cop drama on FX called The Shield.
Yeah.
He uses their camera crew to get a raw documentary style feel. The monsters, designed by Guillermo del Toro's creature team, the same one that was working on Pan's Labyrinth at the time. And each creature was meant to feel wrong, as if they'd evolved in a dimension where the rules of biology were different.
I was going to say, some of them, it's like, what's going on with this?
Yeah, so that's why you get bugs with kind of humanish faces, giant tentacle beasts that look like they shouldn't exist. It's basically Lovecraftian horror.
Yes.
And Darabont just loved the idea of cosmic fear beyond human understanding. So the director's cut of the Mist is in full black and white, and that's the way Darabont said he imagined it that way. Like,
do I need to watch the director's cut?
So you haven't seen this?
I didn't even know there was a director's cut to this movie.
I didn't know until I watched the movie. And let me tell you something. I watched it on Peacock, and it was the edited version.
Yep.
There's an awful lot of bull spits.
There are a lot of bull spits.
And it took me a long time to figure out, like, why are they saying these weird words?
Especially since this isn't a Stephen King adaptation that's taking place in the 50s.
Yeah. And so what happened was I figured it out because the captions, I had the captions on, and the captions didn't always reflect the edited version. So there were curse words on the captions. I was like, he didn't say that. He said spit. And that's how I figured it out, which is so weird because I'm like, there's some pretty gory stuff going on.
Also, why is it edited on Peacock? That's my question.
Yeah, I don't know. It was super weird. But when I found out there was a black and white version, I really wanted to watch that version. When you take away the color, I think it feels probably grimmer, feels more timeless, more like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yes.
Which I think is why the tone doesn't sit right with me.
Like, I'm okay with, because it feels grungy.
Yeah.
And gritty.
But it's bright, but it's colored.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just weird. The tone's all wrong.
Where I do think if it felt and looked like a Twilight Zone episode, this might be like Citizen Kane horror.
Well, and the Mist looks really like... So, well, I'll talk about that because I'm going to bring that up when we get to things that don't hold up. So let's Muppet-ize the movie. Did you Muppet-ize this thing?
So yes, it did. I know that one of the old people was a lady, but I'm still going with the two old guys in the balcony.
Waldorf and Statler.
For the old people in the car.
We're out of gas? You moron.
I'm going with Miss Piggy for the grocery store lady. And then
who's the grocery store lady? What are you talking about?
The girlfriend, the blonde.
Oh, the blonde girl.
Yes. Yeah. I could look at her name. Amanda.
The one who's like taking care of his son.
Yes.
When he's not. Yeah.
And then I want the Tiny Tim Frog for the son. We keep Thomas Jane.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you have to keep Thomas Jane here. This is the only way Muppetizing this movie makes sense. You keep Thomas Jane as the lone human because no matter what else changes, The Mist is still a movie about a dad trying to keep it together while everyone else loses their mind. And if you think about it, that's basically every Muppet movie ever. Miss Piggy as Mrs. Carmody, the religious zealot.
Yes.
Tell me this wouldn't be cinematic gold, Cody. Piggy in full diva preacher mode, declaring the apocalypse.
Gets slapped, gets a can of food thrown at her.
Repent or face the wrath of moi. Fozzie Bear as Ollie Weeks, the assistant store manager, who is played very, very well by a guy we know, Toby Jones, who's in a lot of things.
Toby, solid dude.
Yeah, and he's great in this movie, in this role. He's kind of perfect, actually. But Fozzie would be perfect, too. Nervous, sweet, trying to keep spirits up while the world is collapsing. He'd still be the guy who steps up when it's count, as that character does. He does the things that nobody else wants to do, and he's like the least likely to do it. So it makes sense that it's Fozzie. Picture the moment he takes the gun and he shoots the religious lady, and he delivers like a serious one-liner like, comedy is all about timing. Waka waka. Kermit the Frog as Wayne, the Sam Witwer's soldier character.
Yeah.
Who dies near the end. Kermit's natural anxiety would fit perfectly with a young soldier caught in the middle of all this. His big emotional scene where people in the grocery store eject him, stab him, and then throw his bloodied body out to the monsters would be shocking and possibly traumatic. But yeah.
Who's Andre Braugher?
I don't know. Andre Braugher, I kept waiting for him to turn up again, but we don't even find out what happens to him.
It's presumed.
It's presumed, yes, for sure. You assume he died,
yes.
But we don't find that out for sure. In fact, I like to think that he was with the military guys and, meets up with the guy later and be like, well, I was wrong, but I was sort of right.
By the way, you're still getting sued.
All right. Cody, what holds up about The Mist?
When society breaks down, what we gravitate to, if it consumes us, will ruin us. And you get that on full display in this movie. Even something that I think is really good and would be something to really cling to, such as faith, if it's a warped faith to begin with, which everyone before she got popular, it was like, oh, this lady's a little out there. She then, even if you took a step back, none of her prophecies, quote unquote, were ever accurate.
Yeah.
That they're like, well, she said this, and it's like, but she didn't really say that. She said this, and it happened like that. They don't really line up except someone died.
Well, and she's heavy on the prophetic stuff. By the way, translating it poorly.
Very poorly.
And very light on what the Bible actually tells you to do.
Yep.
Yeah. The prophecy is only important to tell you that, God's coming back for you.
Yeah.
And that he's made a way for you. That's the only reason the prophecy is important. Otherwise, what's important in the book is to, do the things God tells you to do. And so, yeah, it's weird. I'll build on that because there's a trope there. The trope of humanity in free fall. And this is a movie of tropes. There's so many tropes going on in this movie. But what still hits the hardest, and I think holds up really well, is I'll build on what Cody said, the trope of humanity in free fall. And it's how humans break down when things around them start breaking down. When the foundations of society breaks down and it starts to get scary. So the story is slowly stripping away civilization. No phones, no news, and then eventually no rules. And people just start cracking.
Which Thomas Jane has a great line in the movie, and I wish I would have wrote it down. When he's talking about he talks about well, right now she has 4 people following her. Tomorrow will be 8, and it keeps going. But he talks about you remove the comforts, the creature comforts we have, and phones, communication, mobility, electricity, and then society collapses.
Yeah, we love to think that we're rational beings, but as this movie shows you and is proven by science, minute by minute, our reason is a thin layer that resides over this kind of fear. And if that fear overtakes the reason, it can all happen pretty quick. And so this movie isn't just about surviving monsters. It's about surviving each other, which is interesting because that's what the zombie genre kind of turned into. The zombie genre turns on The Walking Dead, which is a movie or is a show in a comic book before it based on the idea that, the walkers, the zombies are bad, but what's worse are the other humans.
Yep.
Which, by the way, that show, the showrunner at the beginning is Frank Darabont.
Oh, and by the way, 2 of the people that are in this movie, they're on The Walking Dead.
Yeah, there's a little mini Walking Dead pre-reunion thing going on in this. So yeah, that trope of humanity and free fall on full display. What else is good? What else holds up?
The cast.
Yes.
This
The
time
cast.
I didn't say it first.
Yeah, there's for the early aughts for this small of a movie.
I was baffled upon rewatch because I'm like, oh, I know these people.
Yeah, there's tons of recognizable faces.
So I will list off my dear friend Thomas Jane, aka the Punisher, Andre Brower, Toby Jones, Chris Owen, which he has been in a lot of things in the 90s and early aughts, including Major Payne, October Sky, and American Pie.
Yeah, he was a child star in Hollywood.
And then Marcia Gay Harden. She's in a handful of amazing things. Well, she's amazing in those handful.
She's an
of
Oscar
things,
winner, I believe.
as she should be. If she isn't, if she is, bravo. Jeffrey DeMunn, who is also in The Walking Dead, and then Melissa McBride's in this, who is Carol from The Walking Dead.
And we should also point out that Sam Witwer, who plays Private Jessup, is a big Star Wars guy.
Big Star Wars guy, and
the voice of Darth Maul, I believe, in the Clone Wars cartoon.
if you were a sci-fi fan in the 2010s, Being Human, phenomenal show.
Can't believe you're just not going to mention William Sadler.
Nope, not doing it. You can't make me mention Bill Sadler.
Incredible character actor, but we hate his character in this movie.
Yes.
He's the worst. But he's also in the Shawshank Redemption. So he'd worked with Darabont before. And yeah.
And Buck Taylor's in this.
I want to stop and build again off of your what holds up. And I want to talk about Marcia Gay Harden, who plays Mrs. Carmody.
Yes.
Who is the crazy religious zealot lady. And guys, she's
Academy Award and Tony Award winner.
yeah, this is a masterclass in controlled madness. She's not playing a cartoon villain. She's playing essentially what happens when you have religion without the love.
Yes.
Her sermons start with fear, and by the end, they're like provoking bloodshed. And what's brilliant is how natural this feels.
She might be the most frustrating thing in the movie. And it is literally just because she, like, you kind of see like some tender moments at the beginning, or she's not as like out there, but as it just keeps going, she just builds, and it's like a natural flow. It's not a caricature where I can be like, okay, I hear you.
Well, and that's the thing too, is because as soon as her character is introduced, I rolled my eyes. And I wanted to hate that character.
I did.
I wanted to hate the actress. I wanted to hate everything about it because this is a trope, and I'm not a big fan of this trope because Hollywood does this thing where the religious person's always a zealot, always crazy. And the honest to goodness truth is that science will tell you that people that follow religious things are generally happier people. And they're more content, and they're generally more baseline in a severe situation. So if you're in a situation like this, you actually want the real religious people in your group because they're usually the ones that are going to stay the calmest the longest.
So in the book, her character is a zealot, but the following's smaller. It doesn't grow as quickly as it does in this movie.
So I want to hate this character, but I can't because she plays this so well. And what's brilliant is about how natural it feels. She's not just raving and a lunatic at first. She starts small. Maybe this is a punishment. Then it kind of grows into, well, we probably need to sacrifice someone. And the way she does it is just like that. It's so unassuming.
Yep.
And then by the end, she's running a cult in aisle 7, like, whoa, what happened?
The creatures won't come tonight.
Oh.
And we'll find out who needs to be sacrificed tomorrow.
And like, look, these people do exist. There are people like her out there they're on social media. They're even in politics, in cults, and it's fanaticism, basically. And Marcia Gay Harden just owns every second of this role, and it never crosses that line into caricature.
Yeah.
It's just so balanced. It was really good. And I was just impressed with how she delivered it.
So if this was WWE, she's a heel and she's a top-notch heel. Like, like, she's there to push your buttons and she's doing it even though you are enjoying the buttons being pushed.
Yeah. What else? You got anything else that holds up?
Knowing that it's supposed to be in black and white, I think most of the scenes just kind of feeling like, honestly, you saying that it was shot by the people that did The Shield, it feels like that, and I think that kind of salvages the movie studio being like, this has to be in color.
Yeah. And so I didn't even notice it at first. My daughter actually noticed it first when we were watching it together. She says, what's going on with this camera work? It's very weird. And
it's almost fuzzy.
Well, and I hadn't noticed. And then I noticed, I'm like, oh, this is very like cop procedural.
Yep.
Like they were doing these like steady cam one take shots where they're not using multiple cameras and switching back and forth between the people talking. They're like, the camera is moving back and forth. And I was like, oh yeah. And then when I read this today, when I was researching, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And that's one of the things I say holds up real well is the camera work. It's genius. It feels claustrophobic, chaotic, but in a documentary sort of way. And you can, you feel it kind of transports you. Like, you know, it was a good choice. And Darabont's choice to shoot it that way, it wasn't just about saving money. It was about putting the viewer in the store, in the panic. And it's one of those rare horror films where the cinematography sort of adds to the feel of the movie. It's very important.
Yes.
Another thing I think that holds up is the presence of all these tropes. Now, sometimes tropes can be bad. We talked about the religious zealot. I don't like that trope, but the way it's played makes it great. Mm-hmm. But there are tropes here that are present in this scary movie, and they just work because they're things that work on humans. They're tropes we like. So you've got some familiar horror tropes here. You got the isolated location. The people are cut off.
Yeah.
You've got the kid in danger. Like at all costs, I've got to protect my son. The skeptic who won't listen, played by Andre Braugher. There's always the dude who's using logic. Like, this is ridiculous. Even though he's literally shown blood and a weird alien tentacle.
The blood clearly from cows. And I think he doesn't get to see the tentacle. It like turns to goo.
Yeah, but it turns to goo in front of him. They take him back there.
They take the grocery store manager back. Andre's not with them initially.
Oh, you're right. You're right. That's true.
Yeah, so no tentacle for Andre, but there's still goo on the floor.
Where'd this goo come from? That's actually said at my house quite a lot. Well, when you have kids, you know, unidentified just goo everywhere. The religious zealot is a trope. We talked about that. The humans are the real monsters reveal.
Yeah.
That's a solid scary movie trope. And yet Darabont doesn't like go hammy with any of them. He plays them straight. They're not cliches. They're more like archetypes. And he's building a parable about human nature, and he's using the horror movie toolkit, essentially. And that's why I think it resonates. The tropes work because they're timeless. And yeah. And notice I say it resonates. For whatever reason, this movie resonates with people. It's not universally adored, this movie.
Nope.
But I will say you either like this experience or you hate it. But either way, you're definitely talking about it, which again is something.
And you have feelings, which I can tell you there's several movies that I watch, I leave the theater or I turn off the TV and 2 minutes later,
Yeah.
It's just in the back of my mind.
The end of this movie is very comparable to the choice made by George R.R. Martin to include the Red Wedding in the Game of Thrones saga. Mm-hmm. It's very similar to that, where it provokes a reaction in the person following the story. And that reaction, you may hate that part of the story, but you're definitely talking about it. What doesn't hold up, Cody?
I'll go with...
Cody really likes this movie, doesn't he?
I do really like this movie. Even in the aughts, we knew that bugs were attracted to light.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Toby, you should have known this a lot quicker than you picked up on it.
Yeah, we were both yelling. My daughter and I were both yelling at the screen. We're like, turn the lights off. They look like bugs. What are you doing?
Exactly.
Yeah. Anything else? Or do you just want me to go?
I'll let you go and I'll chirp in.
Okay. Because I've got a few here. And that doesn't mean that I hated the movie or anything. But there's some things that I feel like I got to point out. The effects, right? Let's just say this up front. The CGI has not aged gracefully. The creatures are meant to be Lovecraftian. But the technology in 2007 probably not quite up to the task.
When you pointed out that it was the Pan's Labyrinth team that did it, I'm like, yep. If you had the Pan's Labyrinth lighting and like visual, like just overall feel, it might not be as noticeable. But also if it was in black and white, I don't know if I would pick up on it as much because the color also makes it a bit more distinct. Yeah.
Darabont wanted it to be mysterious. He didn't want to get you solid looks at these creatures. But then when it does, it kind of dips into early aughts video game cutscene type territory.
Yes.
For me. And I think maybe this isn't their fault or his fault. I think the black and white director's cut would have fixed a lot of that. Because without color, the edges kind of blur and your brain fills in the gaps. And I think, honestly, Lovecraft is black and white would have been good. Like, I think that's maybe how that sort of thing's meant to be experienced. And it should be more of your imagination doing the scaring. If this movie were made today with modern technology and then, like some restraint, I think you could have something kind of cool. The acting, particularly Thomas Jane.
I didn't want to trash Thomas.
Like, look, Thomas Jane is a solid actor. He was great in Boogie Nights, The Punisher. But for a lot of, especially early on, there's just something off.
So the first maybe 25, 35 minutes of the movie, I felt like he was acting in an M. Night movie.
That's a good example.
Yes.
He's weirdly flat in the first half of the movie.
Which I'm like, did M. Night direct this?
It's almost like he doesn't know what movie he's in.
Well, he goes through subtle changes throughout the movie where I'm like, you weren't acting like this before.
By the time the movie starts getting apocalyptic, he catches up. Like, then he like kind of settles into this, I'm a dad trying to take care of my son, and that's the only thing that matters. We got to stay alive. Like once he settles into that, it's fine, but I feel like it's too late. And the rest of the cast is sort of dialed into this existential panic the whole time, while Jane still feels like he's in this like different. Imagine a M. Night Shyamalan movie that's like a quiet indie.
Yes.
That's where I feel like he thought he was in the first half of the movie.
He's supposed to be an artist.
Yeah.
And
which is also a weird choice because I don't see him as an artist.
He's a local who kind of made it out but wanted to come back and some people think he's better than they are, or he thinks that he's better than they are. And then you get almost Punisher Thomas Jane because he will growl through a couple scenes in this movie. Like his lines are delivered with a growl, and I'm like, whoa there, Frank Castle.
Well, I think what you just mentioned, there is a line where one of the characters accuses Thomas Jane's character of being kind of too high and mighty. Oh, you think you're better than us. But then they also say the same thing about Andre Braugher's character,
who is an out-of-town person.
And I think that's the problem too, is there's too many of the archetypes that kind of overlap. And then I'm not sure, and that goes into my next thing that doesn't quite hold up. I think it messes with the mood and the tone. Like, it's all over the place. At times, the movie's not quite scary enough to be pure horror, but then it's not quite emotional enough to be full drama either. Like, they don't really get you into the dad-son dynamic enough.
No. And
it kind of drifts in between.
So I view it more like a psychological suspense. Because you're waiting for something that's like existential dread throughout most of it. And then you're like, oh my goodness, these people are so cringe. You can't be doing this. And you get so much secondhand cringe from the religious people, and then from the drunk maintenance guy sending the kid out.
Yeah.
And
it really does feel like an elongated Twilight Zone episode where it's like, this is television. We don't have enough time to flesh these characters out, so we're just going to kind of throw them out there. But since you mentioned it, let's talk about the religion as the religious person as the villain trope. This one's important, sort of personal. Hollywood loves to make the religious person the villain. And look, Marcia Gay Harden's performance is phenomenal. But the crazy religious zealot archetype's kind of a one-note drum that I feel gets beaten to death. And the problem isn't that these people don't exist. They absolutely do.
They do.
It's just that we rarely see the other side. So like I told you earlier, there are countless stories of people in moments of crisis who don't lose their minds, that stay calm and generous and heroic because of their faith, because of religion. And I just wish that we got that side of it more. I mean, literally the church grows because of things like that. Here's my issue with it. I have a real issue with it as it pertains to this movie. The faith, as it turns out, isn't the villain of this story. It's not the villain of the mist. The end spells that out completely. But it doesn't mesh well when we just spent the last hour telling us faith was the villain. You know what I'm saying? It's a weird contradiction.
So I viewed it more as that it's not a contradiction. It's showing you warped faith.
Yes, we know that. You and I know that because we're in ministry. It's our job to study this, and we understand that zealotry is not faith.
So I do think,
but a lot of people, your laymen, they do not know that, and in fact, these days when there's such harsh feelings, they're one and the same.
I do think that the director knew what he was doing with that. Mm-hmm. And also, if you actually are someone that will contemplate, you'll stop and think, okay, what was wrong here? What is right? And you'll start to pick up on things like, there is a version of this that works, but there is also a version of this that is just as morally corrupt as the people that they're speaking out against.
Yeah. And someone points out very early on that she's probably crazy. And they're all kind of aware of that.
The townspeople know it.
Yes.
And Toby mentions it to all the out-of-town people.
Yes. So, all right. It's time for which character would you be? And this one's kind of cool because there's a lot of archetypes here. Which character would you be, Cody?
Probably Toby.
The grocery store guy, the kind of soft-spoken guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I could see you being the calm, quiet guy who ends up saving the day at some point.
Yeah.
When no one else expects it.
I also may or may not know how to use weaponry.
I thought long and hard about this, but I'm definitely the mom who leaves the store at the beginning.
You're Carol from The Walking Dead?
Yeah. She looks around and she says, I left my children at home. I'm going. And they're all like, you can't go. And she's like, I'm going. But my motives aren't that. I'm just like, you know what? I'm out. That's me because I'm introvert survival mode activated, right? I'm the person that when the chips are down, I feel like I got a better shot alone than with other people. Because I don't want to be trapped inside with the people cracking up. I'm well aware of what humanity is capable of. And I just feel like if I die out there, well, at least I didn't have to spend my final days in a supermarket arguing about who gets the last bag of barbecue chips. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm definitely Carol. I'm finding a way to get out of that store immediately.
Nice.
All right. Pastor's Corner, deeper themes. Cody, let's talk about that ending. Because the mist doesn't just end, it collapses your soul.
Yeah, it does.
After surviving monsters and madness and the worst of humanity, David and a handful of survivors drive into the mist until the car runs out of gas. They're exhausted. They're traumatized. They're completely out of hope. He looks at the faces around him, his son, the other two adults, and decides the most merciful thing left to do is the unthinkable, and he does it. And then he gets out of the car, and like literally a minute later, help arrives. Rescue was right there. That's not just one of the darkest twists in film history. It's a devastating parable about what happens when we give up.
If we take it as just like a real world survival, literally the people weren't like in excruciating agony, like for prolonged amounts that died. It was like relatively quick. I would have taken my chances and been like,
yeah,
let's hoof it.
Yeah. Me watching the movie, when he does it, I was shocked. I was just like, why not just get out? If a monster gets you, a monster gets you. It's the same end.
Although people will say it's noble, it's right, it's just to do a merciful just wiping of the slate.
I've been one of those people before. I've been one of these people who thought, I guess there's times when I think. But then when I think about this, when I really think about what life is, like, look, it's easy to sympathize with the character. He's done everything right. He's led, he's fought, he's protected. But when they run out of gas, he doesn't just run out of gas literally. It's a spiritual out of fuel. When you lose all hope, you have spiritually run out of gas. And I think that is the big parable mirror for us in this story here, because I think a lot of people have been there where they're running on empty spiritually. And that means, what I mean is you've lost all hope. Moments when you thought that the mist was never going to ease, this fog was in your life. And sometimes having faith or having hope isn't this loud cinematic thing with the swelling music. Sometimes it's just the quiet act of continuing to take another step and another step, even when everything in your body says, I don't know what I'm keeping moving for.
I love your wording there, because within mental health, and so this modality of therapy, logos therapy, also known as existential therapy, by Viktor Frankl. He wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. He's in Nazi death camps. He's being passed around Nazi death camps because he's Jewish. His family dies. He's watching people die. And he notices that if people have hope and meaning or a purpose in their life, then they find meaning and they keep going, and they're more likely to survive for long amounts of time. If not, they make it to the end when they get liberated. A lot of people who just died was because they had lost all hope.
The especially poignant point of this weird, silly little psychological scary movie is that we like to pretend we know how everything's going to play out. And the truth is we don't. Keep going.
No one in this movie had it all figured out.
Nobody did. They were all wrong, actually. Keep going. Just keep going. Cody, who's your winner of the movie?
So this is going to be a weird one. I think it's Stephen King.
Okay.
Even though he has far bigger movies, far bigger TV shows, or books that are made into movies, TV shows, short stories, all that. This shows range in his writing, that you can get a movie or a book, a short story like The Life of Chuck, which If you haven't watched it, watch that movie. It's phenomenal. And then you get something like The Mist. And then you get something like Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile. And the list just goes on and on. The Shining, Cujo. I mean, the dude... And so many of his properties get made into TV series or movies that it's like, okay, so the dude's very profound and has his pulse on the culture. And this year, The Long Walk was made.
I've heard that was really good, too.
It was.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it yet, but my winner of the movie, by the way, Stephen King being your pick, there was also a very cool reference to the Dark Tower at the very beginning. The painting.
I noticed.
That he's painting at the beginning has the tower, the gunslinger, and the rose.
Yep.
So, yeah, that was cool. All right, my winner of the movie is Marcia Gay Harden. Not the character she plays, mind you. Mrs. Carmody deserves to be smited, which she is. But Marcia Gay Harden, the actor, she wins this movie for me in a landslide. She takes what could have been a one-note, cartoonish, religious nut job and turns it into something kind of unsettling. You can't look away from her. She starts off like the person you half listen to in town, but she's like, oh, she's crazy, but you could tell she's well read, but a little intense, but mostly harmless. And then scene by scene, it's like she's just slowly transforming into like this full blown Old Testament chaos of a person. And it's not campy. It never goes into hamminess or campiness. It's just such a great performance. Fun fact, test audiences cheered when she gets taken out in the movie.
Like, I believe it.
Actual applause in test screenings, and that's the ultimate sign you nailed your villain. Well, you know you've done your job when people clap for your demise. Who's your loser of the movie?
Chris Owen. And you're like, why are we calling Norm the kid that dies trying to potentially go out and clear the generator exhaust?
The child actor guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the grocery bagger kid.
Why is he the loser, you may ask?
I am asking, yeah, why is?
Not only does he die really quick in this, that also kind of ends his career in like big movies and TV.
That's fair.
Like, go through his IMDb. You'll be like, oh, that's sad.
We need to have him on. Well, I need to know the full story. My loser of the movie, it's going to sound wrong at first, especially given your winner of the movie. But hang with me.
You better not say Stevie.
It's Stephen King.
Not Stevie!
Because the irony here is, once again, a Stephen King adaptation takes his original story, changes something really huge, and it ends up being the best part of the movie. It's almost tradition at this point. Kubrick did it with The Shining.
Although most Stephen King fans, I think, prefer Stephen King's version.
Most neutral people, though, prefer the movie. If you didn't start off a Stephen King fan and read the book first, you probably prefer the movie.
I'm okay with the movie.
And
I think it's a bit overrated.
My point is that happens a lot, I feel like, with his adaptions. In King's story, it ends ambiguously. The survivors drive off into the fog, the radio's crackling, and then they don't know what's ahead. And that's it. It's haunting, it's poetic, but it's open-ended. Frank Darabont looked at that and said, yeah, that's nice, but what if I emotionally obliterated the audience instead?
Yeah!
And boy, did he. It's the ending that changes everything, and Darabont's ending is the thing people remember about the movie. It's the reason that this movie has become a cult classic. Instead of if it ends like Stephen King's story, it's forgotten. Nobody cares about this movie.
That's what you think.
And even King himself admitted it, saying his ending was so good he wished he'd thought of it. So when the author says you out Stephen King, that's game over, man.
I think maybe this shows that Stephen King's the ultimate team player. His stuff's good to build off of.
Yeah, you can totally build this into like, well, when the platform you're launching from is his story, it turns out he's very good at what he does. So it's a little tongue in cheek.
So whatever happened to the director?
Frank Darabont?
Yeah, is he still making stuff?
Oh yeah, he does stuff. He does all the stuff. He's still.
Is he
busy.
relevant? Am I
think so.
watching things that he's making?
We'll have to figure that out. I don't know.
This is a mystery that we will answer on Unsolved Mysteries of the Pod.
How many horror movie tropes out of 10 are you giving this movie?
I'll just go with it's a solid 8.
8, yeah. That's kind of where I expected you to be. I'm going to give it a 6.5, that's above average for me. And honestly, I think it's good. I think it's very interesting. And the only reason I downgrade it is probably not anyone that made the movie's fault. I feel like studio meddling probably made it worse with not going with the black and white. I think the black and white would have made it creepier and made the vibe fit more. But yeah, there's some imperfections, but overall it's an enjoyable 2 hours of my life I spent watching this movie.
Although you made your daughter cry.
And then, well, yeah, but she's thinking about it, which I think that's the best part about this movie is like, it doesn't matter how well you tell a story or how poorly you tell a story. If you're talking about it at the end of the day, that's a pretty good story.
It is.
So, yeah. All right. What do you guys think? Is The Mist one of your favorite movies, or do you hate it with a white hot passion? Let us know on the social media posts for this. Anywhere you can comment on the pod, wherever we drop it. And go ahead and rate us and do all that stuff. Subscribe to us. And by the way, look for our swag. We've got swag out there now, our swag shop. So follow the links to our link tree. Go to the swag store and pick yourself up some Pop Culture Pastor stickers and t-shirts and coffee mugs. With more to come, we've got a Christmas t-shirt fundraiser coming up, and you're not going to want to miss this. I'm just going to say yippee-ki-yay to give you a hint. All right, we'll see you next time.